Welcome, my name's Ahabad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we are back on Fusion duty, and it is Helicath Fusion that dropped today. Now, let's just jump straight in and look at the champion first. I think he's a must-do Fusion. I think he is really, really strong. All the content creators pretty much universally have sung his praises, and they're not wrong. I mean, in this one champion, you've got such a strong progression champion. I think I've had most of my recent videos, I've been banging on about how important it is to get Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss on farm. And in Helicath, you have a champion who can hard carry you to Ultra Nightmare. He can be the linchpin in a team to beat Ultra Nightmare. There are many content creators right now putting out very budget teams focused around Helicath. And I'm sure once we have this fusion done and the rest of the player base are able to play around with him, even more interesting and diverse compositions will come out that can do really strong damage with very, very budget teams. So, you know, he's going to be unmissable, I'd say, for anyone early to mid game. And even late game, I think he could be quite interesting. I think there's potential to use him in some interesting teams within Hydra, although I think it will be a little bit more complicated. I do think there's good scope there. So what have we got going on? The A1, 2-hit, which is always nice. We like to see multi-hit A1s. It's good if you happen to use him in, say, Doom Tower waves and you needed to kill a Rotos, or in Arena and you needed to kill a Rotos. You know, having a multi-hit's nice. Also useful in Fire Knight. You know, if we ever end up in a situation where we need to do, say, Demon Spawn only Fire Knight runs, having a multi-hit A1 is helpful. Then an AoE on the A2 is always good. We like having an AoE hit. It means if we wanted to put him in a stun set and help him carry us through faction wars, we have the opportunity to do that on a 3-turn cooldown once booked. Also provides a shield, as we've discussed, or not as we've discussed, but as has been discussed. This Valkyrie style shield we know will be fairly substantial shield. You can stack quite high defense on him. If you're running, say, a Torshan in Demon Spawn Faction War and you have the increased defense coming from there, you'll get big shields. And I think what this could mean is that, you know, we don't have great healing within Demon Spawn outside of the legendaries. And again, Helicath, I think, could really, really comfortably carry Faction Wars. Then the A3, we have this block damage for 2 turns, goes down to a 4-turn cooldown once booked. Very much a tower style ability. But we also have this additional mechanic where in any way that it's removed, stolen, or expired, we get an increased defense. This will be nice in Arena, again in Doom Tower waves, if we're coming up against anyone who strips our buffs, against, say, a wave of Cephalias in Faction Wars, or even in general content when it just expires and suddenly you get the increased defense, which once that kicks in, he can then also effectively give himself the self buff to increase his own defense to then create bigger shields. So I think we can do some interesting wave clear mechanics going through with Helicath as well. You know, using Helicath, Visix, and Syl, 3 defense-based champions that we effectively get for free. And Drexar, say, so we got 4 defense-based champions right there that we could use as a core of a team to get good Doom Tower progression. And then lastly, we have this passive where it increases champion's defense for each ally under block damage buff. He obviously puts out the block damage buffs himself, and therefore he's going to get that increased defense bonus quite nicely. But if you're not relying on him to create his own increased defense mechanic, you can open with the block damage, use another champion to increase defense. He then gets his additional increased defense from his passive, and his shields will be even bigger, so you can double stack via that way. And then the Aura itself is an all battle 30% defense, which is actually really strong. We like all battle auras. There's so many areas of the game now. All battle's really the only practical aura type nowadays. When you've got Hydra, you've got Clan Boss, Dungeons, Doom Tower, Faction War, Arena. I mean, there's too many areas to have single area auras that you can actually use very often now. So all battle is much better. And it's a strong aura, which is, again, good for progression. In terms of the fusion itself, you can see we've got 4 of the same epic and 16 of the same rare. It's nice because it means that all of these epics and rares are fungible. If we manage to, say, pull a copy of the rare or the epic during summoning, that just immediately means we can pick and choose what events to skip. Right then, on to the schedule. So first things first, who knows when or if this Dragon tournament will actually start. So this entire schedule could change. So, you've been warned. Plarium clearly is having some problems today after the patch actually getting the tournaments and events started, and they have stated on their Discord forum that they might well have to change the schedule. Aside from that, the actual schedule looks fairly straightforward with no obvious bottlenecks in terms of energy. However, we do not know the thresholds yet at which the rares will be attainable, so there's always scope for a nasty surprise. CVC itself overlaps nicely with Champion Training and Spider. There'll likely be personal rewards in this CVC, so it's excellent in terms of scheduling for maximising CVC points whilst not getting distracted from the fusion. We have here, I have stated that I think there's a chance that there could be a legendary tome in realistically one or the other of the Champion Training events and tournaments. If I had to bet, I would say it would probably be in the event. They tend to more frequently put legendary tomes in events than they do in tournaments. I'd be surprised if both of them have a legendary book, but I'd also be surprised if neither of them do. Given that they're both the same length, there's no obvious clue as to which one it will be. But like I said, if I had to guess, I think it will probably be the first one. Another thing of interest, particularly with the first Champion Training event that we have here, is we should have, even excluding summoning, at least 4 rares. One from Dungeon Divers, Dragon, Arena 1, and Artifact Enhancement Event 1. And with those 4 rares, we can actually fuse them to create one copy of the epic Kinagashi and get an extra 250 Champ Chase points that way. So if you are short on Ancient Shards and you don't think you have enough to get both rares purely from Ancient Shards, there is another 250 points worth of Champ Chase that you can get via fusing this epic. So, it might not affect many people, but at least there is that opportunity to get a bit extra points without having to summon additional shards. I expect myself that I will probably be trying to get the 5,500 point reward, which will almost certainly be a legendary tome. I'm hoping there'll be 2 legendary tomes in the Champ Chase, but I'm concerned that because there's 2 rares being placed in that Champ Chase tournament, that the 3,000 point tome might be replaced with the second rare. I'm hoping that actually it won't be, and the 2 rares will fall below that, with the second one being maximum, say, 2,500 points, but it is a risk. In any case, I expect that I myself will go for the 5,500 point reward because I have a large pool of Ancients to summon from, but we'll see. Once it drops, I'll make the decision between going for, say, the 3,000 point reward and the 5,500. We'll just have to see what the rewards actually are once the event drops. Past that, the Summon Rush has a copy of the epic outright in Kinagashi. I expect that will probably be between 2,500 and 3,500 points, so would be the equivalent of, say, between 5 and 7 sacreds. We also will need to pull 1 rare from that summon rush, which I expect will be between 2 and 3 sacreds. That said, because we have the Ancient 2x up front, which is actually really fortunate for us, because if we're summoning, say, between 50 and 80 Ancients to do the 2x event, to do the Champ Chase, we might well get a copy of the rare or even a copy of the epic during the 2x Ancients, which will mean we can drastically change our priorities and our plan thereafter, and potentially get this fusion completed with very few resources expended, if we're lucky, in the 2x Ancients. So I think from my side, that more or less sums it up. There isn't anything massively unusual in this fusion plan. I think we've been really fortunate to dodge a bullet that they didn't do a repeat of the Brogni fusion, where you had a combination of fragment fusion, where each of the epics were made up of fragments, which we had to collect all of the fragments for to fuse the epics, or to summon the epics, and then use those epics combined to make Brogni. It was the most cancerous event or fusion event that we've ever had. And at least Helicath is at least seemingly on the easier end of traditional fusions. Probably one of the easiest traditional fusions I've seen purely from a schedule perspective. But like I said, we don't know the thresholds yet, so there's always scope that things could be a little bit more complicated than the initial plan would suggest. But anyways, I hope this is helpful. I hope it's given you some ideas, a bit of food for thought. I think the premise of the 2x Ancients is the big one for me. We could definitely pull a copy of the rare, and that would dramatically shift what we'd need to do. Even just one copy of the rare from the Ancients means we don't have to do the summon rush, and we can save all of our additional resources there. That said, there's always a chance that with the summon rush, they'll throw in a guaranteed, because they have a tendency to try and lure us in when we're making plans not to summon. Play room try and find a way to encourage you to summon nonetheless, but we'll see what happens. I myself will definitely be summoning during the 2x Ancients. Like I said, I'll go for either the 3,000 or 5,500 point reward, and we'll just have to adjust the fusion plan thereafter. Hopefully this dragon tournament will start soon. If not today, at least hopefully they'll get it sorted tomorrow. Like I said, if they don't get it sorted today, I'll just jump back into Minotaur. I did probably about 250 runs of Minotaur in CVC, so I'll just go back there. Speaking of CVC, unfortunately, we did lose. We put 8 million points down, which was pretty strong performance given there was no personal rewards, but it wasn't enough. I myself came out with 409k, a little bit more than I intended on putting down, if I'm honest, but there are a few big ticket items that I wanted to do for progression. So I summoned Bivald for one. That was 30,000 points coming from the fragment, wherever he's hiding. There he is. He's also started to get masteries. He's part of that minnow grind that I was talking about. So that is a part of it. And then in terms of booking, if you caught my challenge Ehabad video that I put out recently, I booked the A2 of Gaius there. Did a lot, and I mean a lot of minnow. In fact, let's just jump in and do one now. We're overcapped with energy. We don't know if this dragon's ever going to stop. At least I can show you who I'm slowly getting masteries for now. Anax, I'll show you him in a build. He's part of my auto Bommel team at the moment, but currently has no masteries, so it'll be an easier build once I get some masteries on him. It'll probably speed up the run as well. Gaius, who I did in this challenge Abad Night Revenants video. Bivald, who I want to use in Hydra. Mother Sabel, who I already have used in Hydra a few times but haven't finished the masteries on. And then obviously Lioris, my Minotaur farmer. Yeah, so that's that. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope it will put you in good stead to do this fusion with using as few resources as possible. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.